swim or drown.
But we don't help ourselves, and that's the problem. We're excited about the vote that's getting ready to happen, the presidential vote, and we ought to be, because we need a Democrat in the White House. But what we don't do is our local. We don't do our state. And that's what I'm saying, we don't help ourselves. And sometimes we don't get the right people in. And I hope you all invite me back after I say these next few things. But we don't get the right people in place, because we don't need just a black face. Because what happens, you'll see, is sometimes our leaders are chosen for us. They're not chosen by us, they're chosen for us. So they put the face that they want in place. And so we have to be educated about our vote and use it wisely. I'm gonna go back to Anita Hill, because we remember Anita Hill. And we got mad at Anita Hill, some of us, when she talked about Clarence Thomas and he's gonna be a Supreme Court judge. But we didn't put him in place, and he hasn't done one vote for us. And so that's why I'm saying we've got to be educated about our vote. That's one of the things that we have to do. You know, some of us, I know nobody in here, but some of us women will get up for a hair appointment at 5 in the morning, but we don't go vote. You know, our young people will be at home watching Basketball Wives instead of going to vote. Or sometimes we just think it doesn't matter. So we need to go and vote. So, you know, we're being told don't vote for Hillary because of some emails. I don't care about emails. When we got somebody who doesn't believe in fair immigration or a women's right to choose and won't even come to the NAACP convention and has shown us how little he cares about us. So it's up to us to exercise our right, use it wisely, and come out and vote. We need some Democratic governors. We need them in the House, we need them in the Senate, and we need them in the White House. So those are the things we have to do to make a difference for our urban cities. Thank you.
Someone thinks well enough of you to invite you to something that's positive and good, then that's a blessing from God. So I thank you all for bestowing that blessing upon me as the mayor of the great city of Birmingham, Alabama. Before I get into my remarks, I'd like for the Birmingham delegation to stand up and be recognized under the leadership of Hezekiah Jackson IV, who is the president of that organization in Birmingham. Please give Ms. Jackson a round of applause. Ms. Jackson was one of the children of the civil rights movement in Birmingham, so we're happy to have her here today. Recognizing those individuals and the sacrifices that have been made for me to each day walk into the office that Bull Connor once had, and Art Haynes and all of those individuals who tried to maintain segregationist laws, it places a special burden on my shoulder to do all that I can to improve the quality of life of the citizens who have entrusted that great city to me. To that end, when I first got into office as mayor in 2010, about maybe 2 or 3 weeks after I got into office, I received a notice from the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, that the city of Birmingham and a couple of corporations were in violation of the Clean Air Act. And it was the first I had heard about it, but they had indicated that they had sent the previous mayor a number of notifications to take actions, and nothing had been done. We began the process of communicating with EPA to make a determination as to what was expected of us and what could we do. We began to go to meetings, various meetings with neighborhood organizations, industry leaders, representatives of EPA, and we found out that there was a serious problem in one of the northern corridors of our city, commonly referred to as North Birmingham, where you had soil contamination, you had some levels of air pollution, and that was because that area for decades, if not centuries, had been an industrial area in the city of Birmingham. And naturally, the residents who lived in there were predominantly, and by predominantly I mean 99.9% African Americans. And that's usually what happens in heavily industrialized areas. The people who live closer to those areas are usually minorities who don't have the ability to live in other areas because of a number of different factors. But we knew that we had to move immediately to address the problem that was there. Some of the things that I found out as we began to look at it, only one corporation was being brought to the table to be accountable for the pollution that was taking place there. It was called Walter Coke, and they produce coke and other materials in the area. Now, there are a number of other industrial companies in that area, but they were the only ones that were brought to the table as an example. We found out that EPA had been hamstrung by a number of laws that have been passed just in the past 4 to 6 years, that they did not have the teeth that they once had in order to force industries to clean up, in order to make those polluters accountable for the people. We began to question as to, well, if you can't force the industries to come forward, what about EPA stepping up to the plate and providing the funds to clean up the soil, to give the citizens protection in the area? Well, Congress had cut back on the amount of money that EPA had. So you had a situation where you can't go after the polluters, and Congress did not.
Good when the infrastructure is good and when the infrastructure is bad. There was a time when the federal government paid for a lot of that infrastructure. It does not happen anymore. There was a time when state legislatures used to pay for that infrastructure. It does not happen anymore. We are left to our own designs and trying to figure it out ourselves. So it was a way that NAACP could focus on how we can lift up our legislatures and our Congress to begin focusing on our cities. It'll make a better way for all of us to live in our cities. Thank you.
They definitely want to honor Birmingham. Because under Mayor Bell and other mayors and under Mayor Bell, so much is happening. We have increased so much in everything there is to increase in. And now they want the city back. But I refuse to allow them under my breath to own Birmingham again.
The Alabama State Conference in Mobile, chapter 544. Just quickly, how many people in here ever heard of Africa Town? Okay, good. A lot more. Although all of us should know, because that's the place and the name of the town in Mobile, Alabama, where the last slave ship was brought over. It was called the Clotilda, and it was 50 years after slavery was abolished. Okay. And they came and they built everything up. So just to make it short, it went from plantation to plants. They came in where it was a residential area, and they, did the story about we're gonna create jobs for you. We're gonna show you black folks how to make some money. But in that, they were also killing them. They had what they call, it looked like it snowed every day. So I wrote a paper one time about snow in the summer, because every day the cars and the clothing and stuff, once the mill did the emission of all the toxins and everything, the story tells that the kids will have to run home, take the clothes off the line, because the pollution, the contaminants and stuff will eat up the clothes and stuff. And if you bought a brand new car, it will rust out in 2 years. So imagine what it's done to the people that was breathing all of that, So the short of it is that out of all of that, they made money for years and years. Scott paper, how many people like Scott toilet paper? They were the ones that did it. So now we've been working for 2 years trying to get them, because there's money, and they use those zip codes, as they were saying, to get the grants and stuff for infrastructure, rebuilding and all that stuff, but they have not put but just pennies and nickels and dimes in there. So as a result of all the contamination, every household in that area for generations, for generations have died of some type of lung disease, cancer, or something from all the intoxicants and all those things that they were breathing. And so now the people have rose up. Back in last year in October, we went to the streets, and unfortunately, it was a small number of us. I wish everybody that was here, we begin to do like Martin Luther and them did before. All of us get in some buses and go do these big rallies and stuff once a year in different cities. It will make a great impact. But again, they're using our zip codes to qualify for the funding on the state and federal level, and then we sit back and we allow them not to bring that money to our communities. So we started showing up in all the city council meetings. We're going to all the planning commission meetings. We're asking and doing all those things. So again, the struggle continues, but we got to speak up and speak out, just as the mayor in Flint is doing, and we commend you. So pray for us, and when you hear anything about the GoFundMe things or whatever, because one of the things that we're having a problem with is actually being able to prove it scientifically. Because they're saying, oh, that's generations of obesity, diabetes, and cancers and all that stuff. So we need to raise like $200,000 for all 3 site assessments. EPA, ADM, all of them are telling us all kinds of things that they cannot help us and the funding is not there. So like the 5th Sunday of this month, we just aggressively stepped out and we're going to have a 2016 Gospel Fest, and we invited all of you. And we're just going to go around and we're going to find that money. If it has to come out of our pockets, quarters, nickels, and dimes. So pray for us and pray for us all.